Desde el hondo crisol de la patria se levanta el clamor popular, ya se anuncia la nueva alborada, todo Chile comienza a cantar, recordando el soldado valiente, cuyo ejemplo se hiciera inmortal. Enfrentemos primero la muerte, traicionar a la patria más. Venceremos, venceremos, mil cadenas habrá que romper. Venceremos, venceremos, al fascismo sabremos vencer. Venceremos, venceremos, mil cadenas habrá que romper. Venceremos, venceremos, al fascismo sabremos vencer. Campesinos, soldados y obreros, la mujer de la patria también, estudiantes, empleados, mineros, cumpliremos con nuestro deber, sembraremos la tierra de gloria, socialista será el porvenir, todos juntos haremos la historia, a cumplir, a cumplir, a cumplir. Venceremos, venceremos, mil cadenas habrá que romper. Venceremos, venceremos, al fascismo sabremos vencer. Venceremos, venceremos, mil cadenas habrá que romper. Venceremos, venceremos, al fascismo sabremos vencer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I believe, even though the light may be dim, I can see that my audio is going out. I sincerely doubt we're going to be having any viewers, but you know what? I don't care. I did these streams. If you look back at the streams that I did, I mean, I've probably done well over 100 on YouTube and Twitch. I can't count the number of ones in which we had absolutely nobody tuning in. It wasn't really a matter of people tuning in that I did these. It was a matter of, at a certain point in development, when you've been working on a certain element of the game for so many hours, your brain is just sort of like, I don't know, achy. You want to give up. Now, if I stream, I notice that, I am able to get just a bit more done in the course of a day. Okay, it looks like the stuff that I changed is no longer here, and that's totally cool. So, let's see. What can we talk about, ladies? Okay, the front door. I think we don't even need a door there because that is just going to cause it, even though it's, jeez. Yeah, we do. We need to replace all of these with the swinging doors. That's the first thing. But I think I saw something earlier that just rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah, unfortunately, even though I like the idea of a breakfast, like a dining nook, it's just too tight for the camera. So we're going to have to really just pare this down just a teensy bit. And also, kitchens typically. I don't know, I'd have to think about my interior design, Spectre. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find some random noise I could put on the background while I work. I could start with my typical question. Hey, seen any good movies lately? But I don't think anybody is here to answer that question. I could say I have not. Now, let me tell you, I understand. Just like I mean, it seems that every, every few years somebody comes out with a movie that everybody really seems to love, and I mean, I totally agree with the message that it seems to instill in people, but I really don't like for just cut. Well, it's stupid. It's crap, and I wish that people would stop worshiping crap. You know, and I will say, Andy Weir's book Hail Mary is fine. The movie, it's crap, crap. And it goes beyond, oh, every movie doesn't like lead, fit with the movie that we have in our head when we are watching, no, sorry, when we're reading a book. This is a matter of, geez, the best way I could put it is, geez, how could I put it? Well, for example, there's a scene where, if you've read the book, the most taciturn character in the entire novel, uh, in the movie, for some reason, just breaks out in a karaoke scene that, honest to God, seems to last. I mean, forever, forever is all I can how I can really describe it. Um, if I had paid to see this movie, I would have literally walked out of the theater. I got a free ticket. Because you see, I mean, it seems that nobody in this world just stops himself. I mean, that character in the book would have never had a karaoke scene. They were taciturn and very matter of fact. And they said, well, I think they did it really because their character was so two dimensional in the book. Uh, I liked that character's two-dimensional, thing of the book. She was single-minded. She had one job, and she did it. And to turn her into, oh, we have to show her soft side. We have to, no, no. Why do we have to do this? Why can't a female character in a movie be as taciturn and whatever as a male character is expected to be? That's what I'm getting at. Oh no, we had to have this scene of just humanizing her because in this incel culture already, I guarantee we're going to get a lot of crap from the Sneeko and whatever's a critical drinker for having a female character in our movie at all. So really, we gotta dial it back a little bit. Oh, shut up, guys, gals, or whoever made that decision. No, the character was fine. Let's see here. Okay, a prep surface. I kind of like the idea of the. Ooh, that does look nice. But this one, this is a little bit out of place unless you spin it and stick it over there. And you know what? What we really should do is code inside of the game little automated feeders. That just hit me. We should have little automated feeders that will dispense food once in a while. That would actually really increase the player's desire to go and just keep some cats in some place where they can be fed, they can sleep. Okay, that's a little bit better. Do we want it? Yeah, actually, we want it over there. But yeah, I call Project Hail Mary the movie Project Hail Meh because that's what I felt at the end. Meh. And yeah, I mean, here's the thing: is again, I noticed on the internet these days when you say you don't like everything. I mean, for some reason, people form these like really, parasocial relationships with the media that they produce. They consume. And I mean, here's the thing I'm going to say also. Yes, that is my opinion 100%. I guarantee you there are thousands of people that love the movie and everything about it. And Andy Weir absolutely loves it because he sold so many books. Oh my goodness. And I mean, bless them all. But I, on the other hand, if I see something stupid, I just can't help but go, that's crap. I don't like seeing crap. When I go to see a movie, I always see crap. How dare you say that, Eric? Have you ever written a movie? Have you ever directed a movie? That's bullshit. Penguin Zero rightfully pointed this out a few months ago. That is the weakest, absolute weakest defense of a crappy work is, oh, have you done anything like that? No. Just because I've never produced a movie doesn't mean that I cannot have an opinion on a movie. That's absolutely idiotic to think that I can't have an opinion. And likewise, I mean, that's another reason why, I mean, I have no problem with somebody giving, people have given us, the negative reviews. And again, I mean, for those people who, well, I don't want to make that public, actually. I really shouldn't. Essentially, there are some people who gave us very constructive negative reviews. And we said, thank you so very much. Your negative review has allowed us to make Peace Island a better game. Here is a free Steam key so that you can play the game later and tell us if we, address your concerns. Don't know if any of them accepted the key. But here's the thing. Again, we have no problem with negative feedback. It's essential. I mean, anybody who thinks that you're going to be able to produce anything of quality without accepting negative input is bollocks. The only problem is with the negative input, apparently some people have decided to make their life mission because, to basically define myself in the Peace Island project for things that happened for like about 3 hours during the, years of development. I think I think, I have worked on this game for close to 3,000 days. And during that time, I built a narrative. And by the way, if you're wondering why I'm rambling on about this particular thing, it's because I know a certain individual out there by the name of Bobby Kids. Probably watch. And here's the thing: is they are really an aspiring media creator. I get the impression that when, they're sitting there snuggled up in their bedroom. Well, no. I'm sorry. I'm trying to channel Dr. Cox from, Scrubs. Anyway, one of the insults that he throws at JT. But yeah, I think at this time, let's not be insulted. Yeah, we have one guy out there who's just like, no. He's trying to create a narrative where he can somehow claim that two individuals who are absolute, pacifist peaceniks who have been making a video game about cats are actually the most evil people in the world. And here's the thing. There are so many people out there today who are just absolutely, useless. And this person, I get the impression they were useless before they decided that, doing this was their new life's calling. And if you're gonna do this, don't embarrass yourself while you do it. Yeah. I mean, if anybody tries to, the evil Eric Blumberg, oh my goodness, look at what he did. What did I do? I still haven't figured that out. There's this really great thing about Harlan Ellison. I mean, Harlan Ellison, even though I love the guy, will always love the guy. He did say he was well known for being acerbic to his fans. And, I am still friendly with, both negative and positive responses to the game. I am still very close to, what Harlan Ellison said about his relationship with his fans. Where he was like, I'm a guy who writes stories. You read them, that's the extent of our relationship. I am not your friend. I am not your whatever. I am under absolutely no obligation to fit into your idea of what I should or should not be. I mean, any gay person, any bi person, any trans person in this world knows from personal experience that if somebody comes up to you expecting you to live what they expect you to be, your response is no. Nope. I mean, I am not here to live up or down to your expectations. You know, if somebody's a douchebag to me, I'm going to be a douchebag right back. Because as the old Austrian, saying goes, actually, I'm going to add that to my to-do list. Let's see. Add timed food dishes. Add timed food dishes. That'll be very easy to create, probably a couple of hours. I just really don't like adding more and more stuff to the, list of stuff I gotta do, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, now that really, this is not working. Should we push this down? And I guess some young folks these days are not, used to stuff like that. I mean, I was in a conversation earlier today, of all places, on a subreddit, and let's hear it for Reddit, folks. But anyway, um, on the Reddit, I mentioned there it seems to be this new kind of person, and it really, the first kind of time I encountered these kind of people was during the days of Anonymous. The whole war against Scientology, Project Chanology, where I discovered that there were some people who fancied themselves trolls, and they would be like, "I totally trolled you, and you fell for it, and you're and I and the only response is, I'm very sorry, but you didn't." No, I totally did. No, I totally did. And then they will and I was, no, I'm very, I apologize. I know you think very well of yourself, but really, I understand what you're trying to do there, and kudos for that, because I know you need the win. And they would never be satisfied with, I mean, despite their horrible performance of whatever they were trying to do. They would absolutely just not be happy unless they were able to clear some sort of, declare some sort of win out of it. I totally trolled that guy. Everybody thought it was hilarious. Everybody, trust me. It was hilarious. Everybody thought so. I was a genius. Everybody thought so. Yeah, that kind of thinking, And yeah, as usual, I ain't got time for childish crap like that. But anyway, this guy, as I was mentioning earlier, this guy is tuning in very much tonight, and I guarantee you, they are facing a problem. They're very young. I mean, really, I speculate that, again, this individual question is about 12. Anyway. Apparently, this individual got something, basically the same syndrome. I don't know whether they were a Charlie Kirk fan or whatever the hell's what happened there, but this person, boy, apparently, well, no, again, I don't know what their agenda is, because it's just so silly. But again, this is another situation where you have somebody who's just, I don't know. Their narrative is very, very weak. And because here's the thing, again, they're trying to paint individuals who've worked on two pacifist individuals. I mean, right now, their current thing is they found some artwork that I did 30 years ago, and they're claiming that it is satanic and Nazi. I mean, this is one thing. I'm wondering when these trolls are going to finally just come together and come to an agreement. Am I a communist or a Nazi? I mean, I can't be both, and I wish they would just settle on one. I really do. Hi, peace. Oh, it's not Trump. It says Trump is a pedo. if I didn't make that clear. Trump is a pedo. Um, if I'm very sorry, I should have changed shirts to something a little bit more, explicit. We are not Trump fans here. Dang, that's good cheese. Mm. Hello, Puppy Gaming. How you doing there? Seen any good movies lately? Just asking because I would like to find one to, or at least have playing in the background. Somebody recommended, Stowaway. I think it was on like Netflix. Oh, so snoozy. I just couldn't get into it. I don't know whether they were trying to be meditative like Ad Astra, which is a good movie. But I don't know. It just didn't grab me. Okay, so that. What about the toilet? Let me see. The bathroom could extend a little bit more if I had my druthers. I think I'm going to do that. Because I'm discovering now that really. What the heck? There we go. Some of the dimensions, interior dimensions, are not as exact as they could be. This is going to be a house that's going to be in the the first act, by the way. And yeah, the yoga studio. I think it could do with a little bit of a facelift. Let's see here. It's just all brick, you see. And let's see here. Room. Living room. Oh yeah. That is a small little room, but actually, if you've never lived in Maine or a place that has really, really tough climates, this is very standard up here. Is that you have a vestibule where a sort of like an airlock between your interior space and the exterior, where you leave your coats and all of that fun stuff. So that is actually pertinent. This room's a little. What do we got over here? I think this can actually just be extended straight out. But I see somebody's chatting over there. Hello, what? Oh, God. You saw the new Animal Farm with my sympathies. I don't, man. That is from what I'm seeing. And here's the my favorite kind of video on YouTube, and I know this sounds strange, is reviews for really bad movies that I've never seen, and that is the new War of the Worlds. From last year. What everything. Everything in there was just a bad idea. And I get the impression. I mean, considering the Angel Studios bought the distribution rights, I think that Andy Serkis and everybody in the cast was brought on because they wanted to make maybe an updated version of Animal Farm, but I don't know why did they choose a happy ending? Why did they try and put a happy ending onto it? Can I just say, I've never been a fan of Andy Serkis. I've never been a fan. Just because the guy is very good at, doing portraying an ape and portraying Gollum does not mean you're a director, does not mean you are a writer, and et cetera, et cetera. He's one of those people, sort of like, and I've said this many times, Guillermo del Toro, and I know you're watching, fantastic director. Keep that up, guy. But stop casting yourself in your movies. You are the absolute worst actor I have ever seen in the 56 years I have existed on this planet. You know what? I'm very surprised nobody's ever told you this. Del Toro, Mr. Del Toro, great director. You stare at the camera obsessively, and if you don't stare at it, your eyes flick over to it every 10 seconds. You are the worst actor in existence. All right, doesn't make you a bad person. You're still a great director. I loved a lot of your films, but no, just stop, please. That's a really funny thing in what was Death Stranding. In the video game, Death Stranding, they have him, Del Toro, as an actor, and his virtual 3D character in Death Stranding constantly is looking over at the camera. I guess they tracked his eyes. And again, doesn't make him a bad person, just makes him a bad actor. I'm not an actor. I don't, I mean, I don't want to be an actor. I guess, Del Toro being on the other side of the camera for so long is like, I really want to be an actor. I totally get it. He's just not an actor. And I wish you would understand that. It's sort of like Quentin Tarantino. If you didn't know, for a very long time, and I don't know whether he's still doing this, but he's constantly, always putting himself in his films. Always. And by the way, yesterday, finally, I was validated by something. Because I seem to be the only white person that to be upset. Quentin Tarantino just has that. He loves saying the N word. He just loves saying it a lot. And he says, I mean, geez, there's this thing. He's like, oh, if a word is forbidden, it should be shouted from the mountaintops. And I mean, considering, I mean, he has so much like anti-slavery, et cetera, and great intent. But honest to God, the guy really loves just saying that. But I saw this interview the other day. I forget with the actor. I don't know if it's Spike Lee or who, but it's like they were asking him, "Hey, are you looking forward to seeing Quentin this evening?" He's like, "Looking forward to seeing his mouth." Gonna close that mouth, and finally, well, that of course, I mean, here's the thing: it's because he works, I think, with Samuel L. Jackson so much. A lot of people just assume, oh, it's just part of his thing, but no, that man, and he grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee. By the way, if you're not aware, Quentin Tarantino is from Knoxville, Tennessee. I grew up in Tennessee, and I learned very early. That's a very fun story. Let me just see if anybody is still listening. I learned very early because I moved down to Tennessee, to the South, when I was 10 years old. I grew up in Oregon, and I liked it in Oregon. Wasn't a fan of the move. Let's just say this hallway is really tight. I'm gonna move that to the revised living room. Uh, and also, Mom, if you're watching this, we will both know that Grandpa really, he loved the N word more than Quentin Tarantino. And having grown up in Tennessee, and I will say this, and maybe this is something for another that I think this guy, who's so obsessed with me, he can put in his new expose about me, is at a certain time in my life, I was talking to a friend of mine named Lonnie, Lonnie March. He was an African American young kid. We were friends. And at a certain point, we were discussing this song that was really crappy. It was called Ebony and Ivory. It was on the freaking radio all the time. I said, I don't know what the heck it's about. And he said, oh, it's about this. And I said, oh, that means it's about white people and that word. Lonnie March taught me, in no uncertain terms, over the next 30 seconds, what that word means and why you should never say it. Now, we were friends afterwards. Trust me, but he taught me. And I can't believe that a guy named Quentin Tarantino grew up in Tennessee and did not get the same bit of education that Lonnie gave me. You see what I'm saying? I mean, that's the problem. I've always had it with Quentin Tarantino ever since Reservoir Dogs. That one scene was like, you were like working with a bunch of them, and dude, you don't have to say it that many damn times. Come on. Anyway. But I mean, I didn't like Django Unchained. I didn't like a lot of his stuff. Django Unchained is such an anti-racist movie. Oh, goodness gracious. I guess. I couldn't watch it all the way to the end because, quite frankly, I was bored. Never saw Inglourious Bastards either. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd like to see a movie where a bunch of Nazis are killed. But I just not. I think it was, again, the constant use of racially offensive language in his previous films that just turned me off. And anyway, maybe I should tell. Hey, Puppy Gaming, if you're still there, tell me the most annoying thing that you saw in the most newest version of Animal Farm, directed by the fantastic Andy Serkis, known for his blah 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 monkey movie. And by the way, no offense if everybody, I understand that the Planet of the Apes films have a very big modern fan base. Not a fan. Not a fan myself either. Of that too. I'm sorry, there are a heck of a lot of things I'm not a fan of. And some people say, Eric, is there anything that you do like? Absolutely. I think like things that are not crap. Again, there are many things that I like that are I just don't like crap. There's a film called not Mr. Nobody. That film I really liked because it's now tainted by Jared Leto. I mean, I did not know that he was such a freaking creep predator. But I really liked Mr. Nobody. But his previous film was a Belgian film called Toto the Hero. Love that film. Absolutely love that film. Um, yeah, I heard about that. Like they try to turn it into some sort of like anti-capitalist thing with the woman CEO driving the Tesla. Uh, Talk about low-hanging fruit there. Don't get me wrong. Please make fun of the Tesla. I have no problem with that. Uh, if there's a car on this, and I am not driven, by the way, in 20. My God, the last time I drove a car, I'm gonna have to really look back. I think it was 1998. I'm coming up on 30 years of never driving a car. That's if you're not an American and watching this, congratulations, and I wish I was living in whatever country you were in. And number two, yeah, it is possible. I've not owned a car. I have no desire to own a car. I don't want to own a car. A car is just a millstone around my neck. And people, oh, don't you want to go out and you in the open road and just go everywhere the heck you want? Here's the problem. I've driven literally myself. I've been across this country 3 times. Once I drove myself, literally from coast to coast. I've seen the open road. I've lived in all of the major cities, with the exception of Chicago, in this country. I've seen. I kind of like where I am right now, and if I want to go somewhere, I live in a city where I can get on a boat and take a ride that literally millions of people a year, probably not this year because tourism is going to be so screwed, but millions of people a year travel thousands of miles to take this ferry ride. I could take that anytime I want and go to any one of like half a dozen islands and hang out. And each one of those islands has their own feel, their own thing going on, and it's cool. I mean, yeah, I do like getting out and doing things, but I don't need a car for it. And I understand, yep, some people, I mean, they have to commute. Totally true. And here's the thing, I am in. I mean, when I heard that the high price of gas in this country is making people, saying, "Listen, I literally cannot afford to travel." We need to bring back for non for jobs that don't require your assistance on site, the work at home ethic. We need to bring that back. We just need to. I'm totally in favor of that. We did that during the first time we shat the bed and elected Trump, and we will definitely, we could do it again. Those are the well, I would say they're the golden days, but for introverts, it was just hilarious reading about the crises that all people were going through. Man, I was so used to going out and partying every night and getting laid every weekend. And the most hilarious thing to me is apparently during the pandemic, there were individuals who it was just called accidental roommate gay. And it was just people that were just they had to get it out of their system. And afterwards, they were both sitting on the couch and going, well, let's never talk about that again. Uh, hey, it was an interesting time, if nothing else. That was one of the, aside from all the people dying, is all I'm saying. Of course, I don't want more people to die. And but yeah, I mean, heavens, I think more people should do without cars. More people should walk. I mean, I here's a we in America are fed trash, and everybody's metabolism is different. So I don't want to like sound like I'm fat shaving. I'm out of shape. I'm ugly. I mean, I have no reason to talk, but I would just say comparing to myself to people on Facebook. I mean, I have a lot of people that I knew in high school on my Facebook feed, and they're all tubby. They're all tubby with few exceptions, and it's because they have been riding a car for the last 30 years. And again, if you have to do it, totally sympathize. But man, I'm with you. If ever you were in that like, sitting there in traffic, going, God, I wish I didn't have to do this. I'm with you, brother, sister. I wish you didn't have to do it too. I mean, it's just the worst. I mean, Roz Gibson, this artist friend of mine out in California, artist. Um, she's had to just commute from in LA through the wildfires, through the riots, everything that she's had to put up with through all these decades is unbelievable as a commuter. And also, some people love driving. I mean, I had this one boss, Peter Samuelson. He's one of the best, magicians in the world. If you did not know that, if you don't trust me, we can watch a little bit of his act later. And he said, I love driving. I love getting in my car and just driving hundreds of miles. And hey, if that's your gig, I'm just glad I don't have to do it. And having and kind of say, living in the state of Maine, yes, there are times, definitely all taking place in the winter, where I have been going, dang, I have to go to the grocery store simply because the cats. I mean, specifically, let me see. Because the cats are out of a specific kind of treat, like the little delectable goo things. I've literally walked and driving snow to and from the local Hannaford's, which is fortunately only a little bit over half a mile away, to get kitty treats. Because you got to do what you got to do, and those are the times where I'm like, it would be kind of handy to just get in your car. But on the other hand, can I say, there are times where I have gotten this wall needs to be pulled out because the bathroom is just too small. Where I've gotten up because again I work full time here. I see the people outside there just scraping the ice off of their cars, and they're gonna have to go out and just go to an office. Again, people should be allowed to work from home if they can. Absolutely, should be allowed to work from home. Uh, oh, it destroys work synergy, upward flow dynamics, or whatever the hell they're calling it. What is this? It's a shower stall that needs to be poked. Where? I like that. See, is the underground king of Argatha canon Agartha? That is a very, very good question. I don't even know what Agartha is. In fact, I think I do know what Agartha is. Grandpa Eric has to go to the restroom. I'm going to put us on like the on the waiting thing. Is that the Hollow Earth sort of thing? I think I've heard about that. Feel free to type it over there in the comment, in the chat. Let me know. I'll be right back because I think I've heard about that. Just a moment. Our Opal, come up here. Come on up here. She's here's the is Opal, our little buddy here. She's so used to me uh, making big pork rolls that she can get a bite out of. That she's just wondering where the pork roll is, buddy. No pork roll right now, buddy. Excuse me. Come over. She's gonna wander over here, just check things out. She may be just wondering if there's like a snack. But anyway, yeah. Okay. Agartha is a legendary king considered the inner surface of the earth. Agartha is Central Asian powerful king of the world. A later version connected to the belief of a hollow earth. The idea of Agartha has been a popular subject in esotericism and occultism in the New Age since the late 19th century. You know, I'm gonna have to just see here. Let me just see here. Because it's just I'm gonna have to go to Google. Oh my goodness, she's licking my cheese. I'm gonna have to put this away. I'll be right back. Opal, I'm gonna have to cut that part off. It's still time for dinner. It's a little bit longer till dinner, girl. It's not like you're starving. I think Laura gave you a snack just a bit ago. Sorry, I'll get right on this. Answer the question. Let me see. I'm gonna just get. Let me see. Let me see. God, I can't type. I can't type because there's a ravenous jungle beast on my desk. That's you're in danger of knocking things over, honey. Go go go. I have nothing. Here, Opal. Here, snacks. Bunch of snacks. There are turkey snacks, the kinds you love. Okay. Now, I heard something about that was kind of related to this. I'm just going to Google something really quick. And it was um yeah. Uh I just this Reddit post. I was watching a YouTube video of Down Under by Men at Work, and so many of the comments keep saying something about Yakub and Agartha and stuff like billions of because I understand that there was some overlap between Agartha and the Yakub thing. Maybe I'm incorrect. Now, let me go back to your original question and answer it. And it'll be kind of tough for me to answer it fully because let me just see. Uh, is the Underground Kingdom canon? Here's the thing about no. I'll just say straight out no. Agartha, no. To me, the Hollow Earth stuff is just so reminiscent of the Church of the Subgenius and some other thing. If you're not aware, the Church of the Subgenius believes that, I mean, among their many other things that they say they believe, and of course, it's a big joke, but they believe that, I think the Nazis have taken over the Hollow Earth and they will come. I think come out after X Day or something. Or we're supposed to. I have not listened to anything put up by the Church of the Subgenius in years, almost a decade probably. So I really can't be. So no. And I mean, really, when you get to the thing is I know the origin. Sorry. Oh God, I know Yakub lore. That I think was the most fascinating thing because here when I learned about Yakub, one day I was just on YouTube and a video came up and I had that, and that sent me down the rabbit hole of learning the history of the Nation of Islam. If you have not looked into that and learned about Wallace Fard Muhammad, it is the wackiest, craziest rabbit hole you will ever go down. I think if they were able to somehow get away with it without people getting killed, I think the history of the Nation of Islam would make one of the most fascinating miniseries that was ever put on television. I mean, it has gangsters, it has Nazis, it has aliens, it has UFOs, it has mobsters, tons of cash, religion. Infidel. It is a wacky story, and the story of just trying to figure out who, if you don't know the guy who founded the Nation of Islam, Wallace Fard Muhammad, nobody still knows who the hell he was and where he came from and where he wound up. I mean, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The thing is I can't hold that. And by the way, we look at that and we go, "Oh, these crazy black people believing in crazy." Oh man, no. If anything, some black people, yeah. I mean, Wallace Fard Muhammad said, "My goodness, these white people just constantly form these crazy cults. How come black people aren't doing it enough? Maybe I should." Again, if you've looked into it, I think the best information that we have on Wallace Fard Muhammad is that he was either Syrian or Lebanese. He was, but that's as good a guess as any. I mean, entire books have been written about that guy and trying to figure out where did he come from, what did he do, and yeah, Yakub is again. I like that. Here's the thing: that stuff is just really wacky. And if I did anything like that in Peace Island, people would be going, "Pfft, "That's crazy, bro." Uh, and here's the, geez, again, in all due respect to the people, and I saw this one good interview. I forget the channel's name, but it was called Black Belief, but it was BLCKBLF, I think. And it was a channel dedicated to crazy religious movements and such that have taken place among the African American population, and it's happened as many times as it has happened. I mean, if you didn't know, Jim Jones was primarily an African American phenomenon. He was a Pentecostal preacher in the black tradition. And if I never told this, my mother told me this. I have no reason to doubt her. Apparently, my father went to several services by Jim Jones at the People's Temple in San Francisco. They lived there at the time. And from what I understand, my father was like, "Yeah, he is a very good American. I saw so many blacks and whites singing together in such a good time. We should join his church. Teresa, we should join his church." And I can imagine my mother going, "You're right, buddy." And when my mother told that story, my father just sat there and sipped his coffee. Mm. So that would have been a crazy alternate history there. But no, can Yakub reference. There is a strange religious movement in the game, but it's based more on the Shakers. If you've never heard of them, that's something I recommend looking into. If you're looking into, I mean, that in itself, I'm half convinced that the founder of the Shakers was a time traveler, straight up. If you never look, right, there was a religious sect. Their belief was, it was this really, they were one of the religions that was sent over to North America from England because they were constantly causing so much trouble. But one of their core beliefs is no sex, no reproduction. And as a result, 200 years later, or over 200 years later now, there are only three of them in existence. For a long time, there were only two, but apparently they got a third member recently. And they introduced so many amazing technologies and so many amazing, just simple improvements of things. If you don't know, they invented the circular saw. They invented the concept of putting seeds in envelopes like we buy them today, and so many other things. It's crazy. And I'm I am half convinced that yeah, that the founder of Shakerism, of the Shaker religion, was some sort of time traveler, trying to somehow impart information into the future in some way. But and I think the prohibition was against reproduction was so that what information they brought back to us from the future would not survive so many generations beyond. But that's just me. Um, Ken Burns did a documentary about them. Anyway, but putting a Yakub reference in here, I would have to create a greater canon around that. Um, there is a person. There is an African history. There is a African American history to Peace Island. The harbor master. He is African American because he is the long, distant descendant of the vice president of no, the secretary of the treasury, I think, of Peace Island when it declared itself an independent country in 1820. So he's a distant descendant of that person. But I don't want to make the guy like, oh yeah, I was a member of this. I want to make the guy a little bit more, relatable. Um, I don't want to make him, like that, is what I'm saying. I don't want to make the one African American in the entire game somebody who adhered to. What I could do, here's the thing: his daughter is a conspiracy theorist. I'm sorry if I'm giving away. I mean, nobody watches these streams. His daughter is a conspiracy theorist. I could see her perhaps like going yeah, because there are some people who like my cousins. If I have not told you, my grand großvater, my großvater no, Joseph, he wrote several books that I consider absolute bollocks about like UFO visitation during ancient alien shit. I don't believe in a single bit of it, but I don't know there are people like my cousins who are like, I'd like to believe in it because it makes the world a more interesting place. And maybe she could be into like that. I just again, I mean, critical drinker, and I know you're watching. You'll go, Eric was afraid. I can't do a stupid accent. Eric was afraid of making a character because he didn't want to insult black people. Well, it wasn't just that, Uh, it's complex, Again, considering there's only two black characters in the entire game, I didn't want to, but I could see, considering his daughter is a little bit more out there, she might, in her, okay, in her bedroom, we could put a crazy book that might mention something like that. But I will say, here is the problem, and this is another problem. I think Yakub, I mean, even though it was brought up as was part of a black, created as part of the Nation of Islam, etc., so it is just a crazy, bizarre, almost racist caricature. Sometimes, and I just really feel uncomfortable there. I mean, if for every real world movement, we've come up with an analog inside the game that doesn't directly reference, that original movement. By the way, this should be much taller. This shower. So here's the. I can't say that we will do anything like that, but okay, me and Laura will sit down in the next couple of days sometime, and we will discuss that. Uh, oh my gosh, I didn't know that these things were constant. I need to shut that off. Apparently, this thing had a constant particle shower going on that I was unaware of. Maybe I need to. Let me see here. Shower effect. Yeah, I should disable that and apply the overrides so that. There are like a couple showers. I'll just go back and fix them individually. Yeah, here's the thing: is again, when you're making a game, you have to take a hell of a lot of like things into consideration that you normally wouldn't. I mean, for the longest time, some people were saying, there should be a fast travel system where cats can like go into sewer drains and immediately it's fast travel somewhere. Here's my problem. I don't think it's likely, but there might be somebody who plays this game and gets the idea that it's a good idea to put a cat down a storm drain. I can't have that. I could not have anything like that on my conscience. So it's like sometimes you got to be very careful about what you put in games. But considering here's the thing: is Laura and I are big fans of cult lore. I mean, we watch Nora Jasmine, Not the Good Girl, all, every channel that has anything to do with good cult, essays. And it would be good to have something like that in there. We haven't added, that to the game yet. So here's the thing: is I can't promise we're gonna have Yakub, but maybe we'll have some sort of crazy analog of it, something similar. Because, and here's another thing: if I did not mention, we can't. There's a unwritten rule. Well, there's a written rule actually about game development and storytelling within games. If you're going to include something that has a modern analog, a modern has a modern reference. If you're referencing something in the modern day, you cannot just put it in there. That will immediately date the game, et cetera, et cetera. Again, we could put an analog of that up, but I mean, for example, if we put up a reference to the NFT craze in one of the technological magazines in an article about mustard coin. Anyway, I see chats. Sorry. Oh, the Puppet Club. Puppet Club. Heck. Oh my. Let's see. I can't think of a play. We have a drag queen that has their own like the analog of a YouTube channel in the game, but we do not have any puppets. Um, I that would be something to just consider. Yeah, no, I don't know how we could fit it in thematically or story wise, but maybe. Let's just say I'll put that on the back burner. And by the way, I have no problems saying, my grandfather was a little bit wacky because, well, I mean, understand he had a lot of crazy ideas because he was, yeah, you know what was going on in Germany in the mid 30s? You know what I'm talking about? Mid 30s to mid 40s? You know that 10-year period? Remember the crazy stuff going on? He was there. He had a front row seat for it all. And, hey, you're a product of the times you live in, is all I can say. Um, and yeah, I mean, this thing is standing literally off the floor. I did include my grandfather in the game. Um, not his character. Well, I mean, is one of those just a reference. Because as we discovered after we released the game, no AI will be tolerated. Which can I just say, absolutely agree with. Absolutely agree. By the way, Puppy, I get the impression you're, part of the whole Puppet Pals, the people who are occasionally just drop by. I have no problem with them. It's just that occasionally they would spam me and try to, do just say this, because I think it was a couple of years ago that, like, whatever it was, doing the NPC stuff, they were asking me to do that. I have no problem with them. No problem with them whatsoever. It's just be a little bit. Yeah, you could have been a little bit less obnoxious there. Is all I'm saying. So, let's see here. Where would this be? Actually, golly gee, Olivia. Actually, no, she would have no television. I forget. This is a character, a human character, and we're trying to define who they are. By their home furnishings, and of course, you would want something with a a record player on it, up against a sturdy wall, really, if you were going to design that. And yeah, this is a character with no television. We need more bookshelves. This is kind of bare. So I'm just going to say the kitchen. We've redone the kitchen. I expanded the turlet here. We got to redo the walls in here, make them a little bit less. I think the worst thing that I said, if you are part of the Puppet Pals, by the way, and that's all I can remember you guys as, no offense. But I mean, I think the worst thing that I may have said is that I may have referenced autism. And for that, if that was taken as an insult, please, I apologize. I don't consider autism to be. I mean, I'm definitely on the spectrum. And I mean, some people are wondering, am I on the spectrum? Because I'm, when I'm put up in front of if you give me an audience, I could just go on and on forever. That's because when I have an audience, it's just this mass of people. If I'm looking at one person eye to eye, oh, I turn it. I'm the height of autism. So I mean, again, if you guys took that, if you are part of those people and you took that as a, it was not meant as such. So, and if it was taken, I apologize. I didn't mean that because again, if it was an insult, I was insulting myself. And trust me, I do that all day long. There's this great cartoon I saw where it was like this woman in church and the preacher was up on the pulpit and he was saying, treat your neighbors with the same love as you treat yourself. And the next panel was her waving at her neighbor going, fuck off, you piece of shit. That's unfortunately the loop I have going in my head all day. Yeah, we really got to clean up the downstairs. This looks like, I mean, I've been to jail with nicer toilets than this. Oh, speaking of which, can I just say, I don't drive a car, and I'm glad I don't live down south, but the one thing that they got down south that I would say is an absolute improvement, well, no, I would say it's an improvement, but it's a mixed blessing. I've never been to a Buc-ee's, but man, I saw a video about the restrooms and a Buc-ee's. If you didn't know, back in 2005, I was invited to visit the Capitol down in Washington, D.C., and visit a representative. And they put me through the scanners and gave me the badge and everything. And I will say the toilets in Buc-ee's are cleaner than the ones that our senators and our representatives in the House or the people in the House are, unless they have their private toilet. The public toilet, that the representatives use has nothing on Buc-ee's. It's crazy. Just saying, if I were driving, and man, if I had to stop somewhere for a number one or a number two, I'd certainly be looking for a Buc-ee's. Let me tell you that. Hmm. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, we extended that bathroom. The yoga studio needs a facelift. This is storage. The storage. And so, actually, third story was the one I have not really taken a close look at. Yeah, this is looking a little bit more lived in, a little bit more furnished. That scratching post is way too small. Gotta fix that. Uh, yeah, okay, yep. Just two rooms. No ensuite bathroom? My God. What kind of primitive place is this? Okay. Yeah, just 2 rooms. Okay. Yeah, I like this room. That just needs a little bit of adjustment. But this one, this little alcove here. That's a camera trap. It's going to cause troubles with the camera when it moves. That's going to a little bit of adjustment there. But yeah, 3rd floor is only going to need. I think I'm going to fix this tomorrow. Finish this probably first thing tomorrow. Because let's just see. Buc-ee's is peak. Puppet Pals was never far away. To gang, but okay. Okay. And by the way, the reason I call you Puppet Pals is because in Dexter's Lab, the cartoon, there was occasionally this sitcom about superheroes sharing like an apartment together. It was like, just sort of like the Odd Couple with superheroes. And one of them was Krunk. He was like the Hulk analog. And he just really liked this show called Puppet Pals. He's like, oh, Puppet Pal Rick, Puppet Pal Jay. And I just, for some reason, I kind of like that show. Back in the 2000s, I liked Dexter's Lab and all that. But can I just say, there were a hell of a lot of people, and actually it's coming up on 8 o'clock. I gotta go feed the kitties, and maybe this is the last thing I'm gonna just depart here. I understand that this guy, Gendy Tartakovsky, who did Dexter's Lab, and also I think, wasn't he also the guy who did Powerpuff? But anyway, he came up with this Netflix movie about a dog that was going to be fixed, and I think the movie was called Fixed, and it was one of the most gross, rude, explicit animated films ever made. And a lot of people were shocked by that. Uh, if you've watched Fixed and are wondering, was he that way the whole time? Yes, he was. Can I just say, in my life, I've known animators that have worked on for Disney, for Simpsons. I think there was another one who worked on Futurama. Yeah, he worked on Futurama for a short time too. And can I just say, when you have to draw a character hundreds and hundreds of times, even if you're an in-betweener, you're going to get sick of that character and you're going to draw the most. The guy who worked on The Simpsons, his sketchbooks were both the most hilarious and offensive things I have ever seen in my life. And all the time that Genny Tartakovsky was pumping out this general audience context, this stuff, he's saying, one of these days, I'm going to let my freak flag fly. And sure enough, he did. I never watched it, but I watched, what's his face, the guy on YouTube, Saber Spark, and a few other reviews. And I was like, I was kind of laughing at them. Because I grew up on this guy's work. He's doing stuff like this now. Oh, you just don't know. You just do not know. The guy who worked on Disney, he was a lead animator in Pocahontas of the little raccoon character. And he had the most wicked sense of humor I have ever seen in my life. Um, and I mean, it's ironic. The people who do the most gentle stuff, from what I understand, Bill Keane, the guy who did Family Circus, which is the lamest cartoon in existence, from what I understand, if you got him in a locked room amongst a couple of people, just like among his fellow cartoons, and gave him a couple of drinks, he had the foulest sense of humor that ever existed. It just happens. I mean, when you have to create the most genteel, boring comic strip for so many years, you gotta let it out somewhere, you know. So yeah, the downstairs needs a facelift. I think once we get the walls looking a little bit less crazy, the downstairs will be good. I think we worked out all the spacing issues. I was just concerned about the bathroom and a few other places. I have to go through and replace these doorways with the swing door. Yeah, and a few places could look a little bit more occupied, like a bookshelf here would be good. In fact, I'm thinking I should do that right now. Or cabinet, yeah, no, bookshelf. Yeah, and by the way, I worked on the first episode of Dora the Explorer. And if you're not aware, well, no. I mean, I got to know a lot of artists throughout my. For a while, I was like a starving artist. In fact, if you go over to Reddit right now, you'll see. Look me up. My Reddit handle is the same as my name. You'll see some artwork I used to create back in the day. But once upon a time, if you're not aware, I was a colorist on the first episode of Dora the Explorer. And yeah. I don't have any really nasty stories from that, other than the woman who actually developed the characters for Dora getting ripped off. But that's its own story, and I'm realizing some people don't have the same opinion that I do, because you see, I believe. And somebody, I mean, I did a video here on YouTube about it. You could see it. I did it about maybe a year or so ago. Somebody on YouTube got in an argument with me because they said that essentially, here's what happened: a guy in Nickelodeon during a 5 martini lunch sketched out a few concepts, maybe stick figures, maybe a few lines of text on a napkin. He took it to a woman who had run an animation studio and said, "Please create these characters for me." She only got paid $15,000 for her work on Dora. Now Dora turned into a multi-billion-dollar worldwide franchise. And some people are saying, "Oh no, she didn't create it. That guy created it because he described it." No, in my opinion, and I will stand by this till the day I die. I don't care if the guy sat there and had a few and sketched out something on his napkin and handed it to somebody and paid her. She developed those characters. From my point of view, she developed those characters. That guy, he came up with an idea and hired somebody to come up with, the finished concept. So, That's the only piece of dirt I have from that. Is that I sincerely, and I will always maintain that the true creator of Dora the Explorer was never given her true credit and never was paid enough. And it's the way it is. But you know, can I say there are sometimes stories like that I mean, I remember, if you don't know, the rumor was for many, many years that the woman who developed the Tamagotchi, which was the first virtual pet, they say came out in like the 90s, late 90s, I believe. The urban legend was she only got paid a little bit of money and never got due credit. Actually, no, she was paid quite handsomely, and she was made lead, head of the certain gaming division in Japan at this Japanese company. And so yeah, sometimes people get the justice, the credit for what they make. All right, I think number one, I need to go feed the kitty cats. Number two, I think I've gotten all 15 of the views I've gotten this evening that I'm going to get for this video. And that's absolutely cool because, again, I do these videos not to entertain the audience because heaven knows they're not entertaining. I do these because, again, after 8 hours, you tend to lose focus. And by doing these, I regain just a little bit of just, like, oh, yeah, that's what I did. When I'm doing this live, I pay more attention to stuff that otherwise I would have lost. In fact, I think I can just do a little bit of magic here and scooch everything in here. But, yeah. Yeah, there's this in the Harbor Master's house that have to be done. So, let me tell you, again, Yakub, and all of that, I'm going to put that on the shelf, on the back burner. Can't say that I will, but, might be interesting. Anyway, for those who tuned in, and thanks very much for tuning in, and, I'm going to do another one of these soon. I haven't done these in a while, so, Saber Spark, name drop. Saber Spark. I don't know the guy. But he's very good at what he does. He deserves it. But man, there are people who never did advertising before that are doing advertising now. But hey, I got to go feed kitty cats. Kitty cat tummies are the most important thing of all. So I got to deal with that. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.